go to 25. We still detect colors in it. That's pretty cool for 1 second. Okay, so let's go then to about 3 seconds maybe, and see what kind of result we're going to get. So the galaxy's overexposed at 3 seconds with the gain set too high, and here's the black eye. Here we go. I think that's the gain that's usable. It's about 7. I'll bring it up to 8.20. That's my favorite location here for the gain. Oh, it's not bad at all. Okay. Let's increase exposure to 5 seconds. Oh. Okay, just a sec. Oh crap, hang on. It's me, guys. You know when you hit the wrong button on your computer and it blows up? Well, same thing here. I just click on the wrong thing. Okay, can you see that now? Okay, Jack, can you see the just a window for the software and the Galaxy? Okay. All right, sounds good. My mistake, folks. So we're at 5 seconds here and 8.20 on the gain. Yes, it's going to have guiding capabilities. Graham, it's a good question. Thanks for asking. It will have guiding capabilities as much as also a camera to view live or to take pictures or whatever you want to do. You're going to have the full capacity of what the Mallin Sky can give you as far as the software is concerned. Now, 5 seconds is a little bit too high, guys. I think we need to go back down to about 3 seconds. As I was saying about the light pollution that I have here at the moment, looking at M64, it doesn't look that good there right now because of that. So I'm going to swing the scope on another target that I'm more familiar with, and I'll be right back, folks. Hang on. Just bear with me. Okay, so we've got M82 in there. Decide to switch there and get away from the light pollution here. I know I'm using the same target a lot. It's because I'm familiar with them, and mainly I like to detect the colors in them. Some of them are fairly difficult to detect colors, but we certainly can see nice colors in there. Okay. Oop. Got a focal reducer artifact in there at the moment, simply because I do have 10 millimeter spacer, and this scope does not like a 10 millimeter spacer. Okay. Okay, so we are at 1 second exposure. I like to go down to 500 or 500. Yeah, 500 milliseconds will give us a half a second. Did I turn the mic on? Yep, we're good. And we're going to turn up the gain a little bit. So we still detect colors in there. That's the part that I like about this. Even at such short exposure, it certainly does. Short exposure makes it very easy to focus. And everything moves instantly. So we're 500 milliseconds. I haven't touched anything else other than the gain and the exposure. So here's the proof here. 500 milliseconds. Okay, now we're going to pump that up. Let's give it some serious. How about if we jump that to 2 seconds? So 2,000 milliseconds will give us what we need, and it's going to be overexposed. And we're picking up light pollution here, or just general pollution because the background's red. There you go, look at that. This is cool. Now, if we go down here and activate the sharpness, we're going to be able to sharpen that image a little bit. Oh, that's not bad at all. You see some fine detail in there. A little bit of blue, a little bit of red. This is pretty cool. Yeah, we're going to put that back to, everything's at default right now. Good evening, Carl. So we're at 2 seconds right now, 2,000 milliseconds. Yes, Carl, it's a prototype. This is the third test I do of this camera. It's a prototype, and it's called the DS287c. It's got the IMX287, the world's most sensitive CMOS sensor so far. Well, you know what, Rusty? The yardstick to do and design cameras is the Exterminator. We need to have something that can equal it, or hopefully it won't be the Exterminator, but I don't think so it will. But for a USB camera and a CMOS, I think we hit the nail on the head, and here's why. The technology that we've got in there now, I'm going to be able to apply this to any other future cameras that are going to come out, and hopefully we'll be able to implement that. The mono version is the one that's going to be scary, and I do mean scary. When you consider, Rusty, when you're considering the Exterminator has a 3200 millivolt output from the CCD, which is an ICX-828. It's the most sensitive CCD in its class in the world. And it's very durable. It's high-end, and it works extremely well. It's very, very, very sensitive. When you consider this guy, instead of being 3200 millivolt, this one here, the color version of this one here, is 4,589 millivolt. Wow, this is a giant jump in sensitivity, and it certainly shows. And the mono version of this camera is going to have 7,430, I believe it is, millivolt. This is insane measurement. It's insane specification that we cannot possibly imagine to be used in astronomy. And that's the part that is quite interesting. because of that sensitivity. Both of them will have 6.9 by 6.9 micron pixel size. The Exterminator has 8.4 by 9.6, so they're way bigger. Nonetheless, the sensitivity of this little guy here, wow, it's quite impressive. Now, the only thing, it's a smaller chip. It's a 6.3 millimeters, so slightly smaller than the Exterminator. But if you use it with an MFR3 or an MFR5 or anything like this, you're going to gain back your field of view that you need. Besides the camera, even if you go with short exposure, it still detects colors. This is a 2-second exposure right now. And the gain's only set at 11. Yeah, it's 11 about, so I should bring it up to 13, see what it's going to do. Yeah, 13 makes it a little bit brighter, so I'm going to back it down to 11 or 10, whatever it was. Let me change the exposure here maybe to 4 seconds instead of 2 seconds. There you go. Now everything gets overexposed in 4 seconds. That's how sensitive it is. So we're going to bring the gain down at maybe 6.80 or so. Yes, it is. The noise is very well controlled. The longer exposure you're going to go, the better the noise is going to get. When you go short exposure, you got a lot more noise because your signal to noise ratio now gets even nearly if you too short of an exposure. But nonetheless, this is 4 second exposure, and the gain is set at 6.8. Now, what I'm curious to do is to go back to what we had earlier. 200 milliseconds. Okay, let's crank up the gain. Here's 200 milliseconds, and we still detect M82. What will it take for us to have an acceptable image? Let's jump that up to 500 milliseconds, and the gain's still at 50. So that's half a second exposure. We still detect colors in the Cigar Galaxy, which is one of my favorite galaxies. I really like that. So if we lower the gain, slowly but surely, there we go. Now we'll get to change that to 4 seconds again. So 4,000 milliseconds, and the noise goes away, and here it is. You got nice colors, nice detail in there. Here's a feature that I like now on our software is the sharpening. The sharpness feature is really nice because you get to bring out a lot of fine detail in there. This is 4 seconds, 4,000 milliseconds. This is just unbelievable. Now just imagine if you start stacking image to lower the noise, or really you don't need to. If you're going to use this for live observation, just like that, not to take images. Actually, you can take images, yeah. Here, let's take a snap. Here's one image. Here's a live, and here's the image. You can't even tell the difference. This is live, and I'm going to prove it to you, because I'm going to swing the object towards the right. That's the picture. There you go. Yeah. Here, that's the picture, and that's live. That's the picture I just took. There you go. And that's live. This is how good quality it is. This thing is just unbelievable as far as duplicating what you're seeing live, and you just snap away a picture and you have. Yeah, this is a one-wire jobby, so it just requires a few milliamps. I mean, it's solo, it's less than 200 milliamps from a USB 3 connection, so it'll be easy on all computers pretty well. As long as you got USB 3, that's what counts. It will be backwards compatible to USB 2, so anybody who's got a USB 2, they'll be able to use it. What I can't wait to see is how well it's going to perform as far as guiding is concerned. That's what I'm really curious about. No, it is astonishing, Brian. It really, really is. This is the third time that I take this thing apart and we modify the circuitry, especially where the bias is, and we implement a little bit of the hyper circuitry that we use in NCHB in the early days, the extremes and the VSS. So part of the circuit of that is in there now. It's pretty well the same thing was in the universe actually. But because of the sensitivity of this sensor, it's just incredible. The circuitry's got to be made for it. It's just not your regular USB camera circuitry, and you just drop a chip in there and go. It just doesn't work that way. On other forums, some people think, well, all of them there think that's how it works. It don't. It really, really doesn't. But what impresses me about it is the dynamic range. That means you're still picking up colors with such short exposure. And that's a sign of a good even sensitivity, a good linear sensor. Makes it a lot of fun, I tell you. There's one more target that we could possibly go at, and I'm going to go try it out. I don't know how well it's going to show here. And we're going to lower the exposure back to 1 second. So it's easy to find targets and it's easy to focus. And I'm going to turn up, yeah, this is 1 second exposure with a gain set about halfway or so. Yeah, there you go, that's halfway. There it is. This is 1 second exposure. All you get is a little bit more noise in the background, but you still detect the colors in there. Yeah, you certainly could see the colors well in there, Brian. You're right about that. Okay, give me a sec. We're going to swing the scope on another target. Okay, so this is 1 second exposure of M51. 1 second. That is quite amazing for 1 second exposure, folks. Okay, let me place this properly here. There you go. I've never seen the dot flame like this at 1 second before. Obviously, it's pretty cool. Here's 1,000 milliseconds, which is 1 second. How about if we go 4 seconds? Okay. Let's see what it'll do. And we'll have to, okay. 4 seconds, it's overexposed. So, I like overexposed. I don't know about you guys. Okay. Hey, Lance, are you broadcasting tonight? Wow, this is amazing. This is 4 second exposure, folks. I wonder if Lance is broadcasting tonight. One thing I need to do, folks, is to turn down the saturation a little bit. Saturation is a little bit high, so if we back that down, the background won't be as red. There you go. Sometimes when the color is a little bit too bright, you just back down the saturation. There you go. That looks nice. That looks gorgeous. This is 4 second exposure. Yeah, the sky is really good here tonight, Lance, except for the light pollution from Giant Tiger, which I managed to talk to the CEO by email, and the person in charge of the distribution center will be in touch, I guess, and he agreed to turn the lights off for the video star party, but that's about it. And these lights are going to remain on for the rest of the year. So I got to make a choice of either sell the house on their account and move to a darker area or stay here and live with it. But anyways, what we're looking at here is the Whirlpool Galaxy at 4 second exposure. And of course, if some of you don't believe me, let me adjust the gain here a bit. Here it is right there. 4,000 milliseconds. Isn't that something else? I'd like to pump it up to 5 seconds. There you go, let's try this. Okay, this is 5 seconds, or will be, or is. Here we go. Yep, that's 5 seconds. So let's lower the gain to about 8. 8.8 is my favorite, and 13.6 is my favorite. So I just lowered the gain, and we don't get as much background noise, but we still got a very usable image. And we see the bridge between both galaxies, and we get to see detail inside of the arms, the spiral arms. That's pretty neat. Let's turn up the gain to 10 or so. Lance, you got to see this camera here. I know you live not too far, but boy, you got to see this. You really got to see this to believe it. This is 5 second exposure. They're going to have a hard time with this one, I tell you. But anyways, let's not talk about that. Oh, the sharpness is all the way down, Jack. It's the sharpness is turned off completely. If I go longer exposure, then I could certainly turn up the sharpness, but that's bringing up about 50%. A little bit more noise in there. If I would use stacking image, then I would be able to get rid of the noise completely. Now, there's a little bit of an issue with the software when the stacking is activated. There you go. I just turned up the sharpness a little bit in there. We do see a bit of warm pixels. So I would need a dark frame in there if you want to get a more defined or more detailed image. I certainly would have to get the dark field correction going. and the average stacking to lower the noise, but I think it's pretty good nonetheless. No, it's not too bad at all. It's not too bad at all. It's quite usable. And, oh, that was M82, that's right. And here's, that's why I took a picture of that, did I? Okay, let's take another picture. There you go. Okay, we're back live. Okay, that's a picture, and that's live. I just saw that M57 might be up. It's still low to the horizon a bit. I'd be tempted to see what we're going to see with M57, but it's a target we always see anyway. So we'll stick to the Galaxy stuff there for now. What I like about this here is the colors in the Galaxy. We see the actual spirals in blue, just like a picture would show us. And this is only 5-second exposure. I'd be curious to try something here. Let me turn down the sharpness, and we're going to change mode. We're running at maximum of 5 seconds in the video mode. So what we're going to do is this. We're going to jump that up to 8 seconds, and we're going to use the loop feature. Okay, so let's try the loop. 5 to 8 seconds. See what it'll do. Wow. Whoa, okay. I need to lower the gain on that one for sure. So we'll go down to about 7, I estimate. 6.8. The image is getting too bright. So this is 8 seconds under the loop. I just turned down the gain, and we are certainly popping out a lot more detail. And what we're seeing is the spiral extending towards the 8 o'clock position. So from 10, 9, and 8 o'clock position. This is unbelievable. Yeah, good idea. Very good idea, Ski. You guys like to play with stuff, do you? That's okay. There you go. Here's a negative. I'll take another picture of that. There you go. This is pretty cool. What we could do now is change, lower the gain furthermore, and we're probably going to get a better negative image. So let's try that. This is 8 seconds. Mind you, at 1 second, you did see all of the spiral. Whoop, it's the other way around. Sorry about that. Hang on. Okay, here's 13.2 for gain, and let's go with the negative. And we're getting alive. You're eaten alive by mosquitoes. Okay, here it is. That's interesting. All right. A little bit more gain. Brian, you read my mind. The advertising we're going to be doing about it is going to be targeted for supernova surveys and people who want to look for supernovas. This is a camera for that, bar none. You got to love the features on this, on the software and on the camera. But these are the people I was targeting for in amateur astronomy is supernova surveys and those who look for supernovas. They could literally image hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of galaxies and go through the supernova catalog and see if they find a supernova. That'll speed up the process so much faster to have short exposures, anywhere from 2 seconds up to 10-second exposure, and get an image that has minutes, if not hours of exposures. It can be done nearly instantly. That's an insane possibility. This is pretty cool. Mallin has been always about sensitivity. Well, we finally got it to the point where this is pretty well what that we needed for a USB type camera. The target is well framed, it's well centered, and you still got a lot of space around the target itself. So the field of view is pretty good. Although this is a big scope, it doesn't matter. F ratio is where it's at, and that's what counts. Okay, let me turn off the FEI and there you go. Wow, this is bright. I'm going to lower the gain a bit there, folks, because the gain's a bit too high. Here, this is 10. Instead of 13.2, we'll go down to 10 for the gain, and there you go. A little bit more reasonable. Just curious to try something quickly. We're having a bit of issue with this specific software for this camera, and it's about the line stack. It loses track of it. So what we're going to do is average each guy, and I'd like to align the frame. So just bear with me, folks. If you see this psychedelic effect, you know what's going on. It loses the track. So the not the tracking, but the stacking loses where it is at one point. So I'm just looking for the frame here at the bottom, input and output. And let's see if we're going to lose it. This is going to be only 3 frames, average stack, just to lower the noise a bit. Just smooth out the image. Hopefully it'll work. Okay, here's one output. We need 3, so I selected 3. Hopefully that we're not going to lose the, oh yeah, look at the image getting better with 3 frames only. Oh man, is that ever smooth. Oh yeah, wow. Wow. That's impressive. A lot smoother. Now you can see a lot of details in there. So we've got 5 outputs stacked, 7 input, and we only got 3 frames stacking at a time. That will give us an average. Okay, let me stop it for a minute. I'm going to change a couple of parameters, and those parameters are as followed. Let's increase the sharpness quickly. All right, a little bit too much. Back it down a bit. Okay, and then what I want to do is go to 4 frames instead of 3. 4 is what you need, 4 to 5 frames to get rid of the noise. So let's try this again. See if we're going to lose it or not. Now I increase the sharpness. This may changes how it's going to do the align frame, and the feature that's been giving me a little bit of a hard time with that specific camera. I don't know if it's because the output's too hot, or if it's the aligning frame loses where it's supposed to stack. That's what I need to find out here. But right now we've got 2 frames, so we got 4 input, 2 output. The status is okay from what it's telling us. Once we reach the 4 frame, then we're going to be all right. Right now the countdown stop a little bit because the alignment has to be initiated, and it's got to find itself basically. And if it loses the alignment, we'll know right away. Okay, there we go. We've got 7 output. This is a lot cleaner for sure. Much, much cleaner. I'd be curious to take dark frame. I've never tried a dark frame feature on this, but I think it'd be very beneficial. Yes, there is. Lots of dark lanes into the spiral itself. This is very hard to see normally. This is pretty cool right here too. Wow. It's looking pretty good, folks. Pretty interesting. There's also M27 that's rising just above your horizon. I think it's too low to the horizon to try it out. I'd be curious to try it out. Yeah, M27 is very low to the horizon. That's the one I'd like to try next to see what kind of color result we're going to get. Yeah, it's working out good right now. So we've got the stacking for a 4 frame on average. Sharpness is turned up to 194% out of 500. we've got 18 inputs and we've got 16 frames being shown, but only using 4 frame being stacked. Average to get rid of the noise or lower the noise actually. Yeah, a dark frame would definitely benefit from that. Wow, this is nice. I'm going to remove and stop the live stack. Here, this is a single image. Whoop. Oh god, I hate it when that happens. Oh man. There you go. Okay. Yeah, to do east and yes, it does, Darren. The darkening impression works good. I just did not take any darks with it yet. We basically don't need it to do too much at this time. But I was planning to try it out, and I could see that we could certainly benefit from it. Yeah, this is only 8-second exposure. Here's what I like to do though, is lower the gain a little bit. I find the image to be a little bit too bright, so we're going to go from 10 on the gain down to 8.8. Okay, good night, Graham. Thanks for stopping by. Much appreciated. Lots of fun to have you on. Okay, so the gain's reduced a little bit here, so we're going to get a little bit better picture. Let's bring the house down, as they say. So this is 8.8. Let's go down to 7.40 for gain and try to get this nicer background a little bit. I'm still impressed with what we're seeing as far as the colors of the spirals. You do have that light blue in there and the dark lanes in there, the dust lanes. Very, very nice. There, the gain's turned down right now, so we got this at about 7.4 and the exposure is 8 seconds. Okay, let me go try and see if we can get something else. I'm just curious to see here. And here, we're going to switch back to 5-second mode. Hang on a sec. And let's go back down to 1-second mode, actually, which is plenty. And turn up the gain a bit. There, this is 1-second exposure. We're going to go on either M27 or M57. They're quite low to the east right now, but let me go try them out, guys. I'll be right back. Hang on. Okay, folks, we're back. Holy jumping gee whiz, look at that. Look at the colorful stars all over. Okay, this is a 1 second exposure. I just had a special guest that left here. His name is Drew Holsick. He's a program director at Coast FM, the local radio station on FM. And he just spent an hour and a half here looking at this here. And he also testified for the light pollution I'm getting from Giant Tiger. Hopefully we'll bring it up on the air for them to do something about it. But anyways, Drew Holsick from Coast FM. Thank you for stopping by, and he shared the view with me here in the control room, and a lot of fun to have him over here. Okay, let me center this properly. This is pretty cool to look at with a lot of blue in there somehow. But this is very low to the horizon at the moment, so it looks like I'm out of focus a little bit as well, so I wouldn't be surprised. This is a 1 second exposure. Wow. This is pretty cool. Okay, at the bottom of there you could see the galaxy. So what we're going to do is this. Let's lower the gain, and how about if we go, I don't know, 3 seconds maybe? Do you think 3 seconds be enough? I don't know. Smooth image. Send up the gain to about 13. See what it says here. Yeah, well, it's overexposed, but I like the star feel in there. And we do see the galaxy there. Hang on. Oh, hang on, folks. I just hit the wrong button on the keypad. I like the colorful stars that we're seeing. Let me do a little bit of color adjustment here. The green is very strong on this guy. Make it pleasant to our eyes a little bit. There's lots of blue in there. Okay, let's go back to default. Bring that back down a bit. Yeah, green is very, very strong in there. So another thing we could do is to lower the saturation. That means the colors are too strong a bit. So it's a fine-tuning adjustment we need to do. Okay. Wow, lots of stars in there. We do see the galaxy directly at 6 o'clock. I see 1296. Let me center it for you. It's at the bottom. So I'm going to center the galaxy for you. There you go. You see that? I call it the wagon wheel if you want. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4. You've got 6 stars in a circle if you wish, and then there's a central star. The galaxy is just above the central star. This is only 3 seconds, so if we bump up the exposure, or the gain for that matter, yeah, we could probably bring up let's bring up the gain instead of the exposure. Yeah, now you see the galaxy, and we see a lot more stars, so M57 is a rather bright object. Okay, here we go. Let's try 5 second exposure. That star is a smudge. Actually, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to point out where it is for you guys using the color balance feature. Watch this. The galaxy is right there. You see the star, and right above there's a little smudge. Whoop, sorry, wrong smudge. There you go. The galaxy is right there. I see 1296. Now here's what we're going to do. We've got a lot of stars in there. Okay, let me lower the image. I'm going to attempt to get M27, but both of them are quite low to the horizon right now. Yeah, 15.3 is... Okay, have a good night, Steve. Thanks a lot for stopping by. Much appreciated. Okay, so we're going to lower the exposure to 2 seconds again, I guess. Two seconds should do it. Okay. 2 seconds and we get to see the central star. It's pretty good. All right. What we're going to do next, I'm going to jump to M27, although it's very low to the horizon. There, that's better. We got too much green in there somehow. There, that's better. All right, now we see the red. So the green is very, very dominant. So need to bring the house down, as they say. Ah, there we go. That's a better color balance. There you go. Minor adjustments. And let me see if we can get to M27. I'll be right back. Whoop.